Stephen Miller put a post out about the details of the big, beautiful bill, and he was attacked by one of the reporters apparently on ABC. I saw your tweet about it, and you say last night in a since deleted post, so-called journalist Terry Moran went on a rampage against Stephen Miller. What happened, Caroline?
Well, ABC is going to have to answer for what their, again, so-called journalist put out on Twitter in the wee hours of the night, calling Stephen Miller vile. They said that President Trump is a world-class hater. And this is, again, coming from someone who is supposed to be an unbiased and professional journalist. This is unacceptable and unhinged rhetoric coming from someone who works at a major television network. We have reached out to ABC. They have said they will be taking action, so we will see what they do. But I think this speaks to the distrust that the American public have in the legacy media. And it's why in the White House press shop and in President Trump's White House, we have made so many significant and much needed changes to press access and transparency at the White House. We've invited in new media. We have shaken up the White House press pool. And we also just won a major victory over the Associated Press, who thought that they had a constitutional right to walk into the Oval Office or to fly on Air Force One. And a judge said no. In fact, those are privileged spaces that belong to the President of the United States. And this is a great ruling for democracy. We fought them in court and we won. And so we will continue to keep or hold journalists accountable. All we're asking for is truth and transparency. That's it. Of course.
And you said ABC is going to take action. What do you expect that action to be?
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, hopefully this journalist will either be suspended or terminated. You cannot go on these unhinged rants against administration officials and the President of the United States. And then clearly he knew he was wrong because he deleted the post as soon as he allegedly woke up this morning.
Caroline,
right. So what is ABC News going to do about it? Well, they're suspending him. They're investigating him. I remember when Whoopi Goldberg got suspended and somehow she's still there. But you know what? It's a little bit different this time, guys. It's a little bit different because the FCC is onto them. I mean, Donald Trump told Terry Moran preemptively that he was fake news right to his face, right? Remember this one just a couple of weeks ago? Terry living up to the reputation.
Do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency?
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across a stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
Thank you.
I mean, you call them like you see them, right? Donald Trump, just a couple of weeks ago, telling Terry Moran he was fake news, ABC News was fake news, telling him how biased he was and getting into this whole conflict, right? Remember, Terry, this is your big shot. You know, I picked you because nobody knew of you. Nobody had ever heard of you. Well, now a few people have heard of him. He may actually be out of a job very soon at ABC. And it's a very kind of important thing, I think, for us to just take a step back and think about what this represents, because it's like, tell us how you really feel. I mean, at least here on this program, like, there's full transparency. You know exactly how I feel. I'm going to tell you about it all day long. And I'm not afraid to. I have the freedom to do that. We are a podcast that is transparent and that hopefully is giving you that authenticity that I think you all crave, right, in the news right now, because you're not getting that from the journalist over at ABC News, who is a journalist, right? Like, I've been there. I've been one of the network news journalists where you get a minute 30 every night and 10 seconds on camera. And don't you dare go beyond that minute 40, right? Because it's a very tightly wound show. Everything's scripted, everything's parsed out, and you're delivering this so-called unbiased report. But keep in mind, there's a bias coming from the executive producer, coming from the anchor, and then also coming from the correspondents. But they're pretending like they don't have that. And those days are over. Like, they really are. I mean, look, The View is The View. It's a terrible show. I'm amazed it's still on television. I'm amazed anybody watches it. But at least you know where they're coming from. I think the problem that they run into is they keep saying, whoa, we're ABC News. We got ABC News behind us, right? That Joe Rogan, why would anybody watch him? He believes in dragons. Just had some fun with that. Well, the point though is that they do try to present things as though they're fact, even on that show. And I think that's where they really are doing such a disservice to people. And this is why you have the FCC breathing down their back. This is an ABC News product where Whoopi Goldberg was spitting every time she said Donald Trump's name, right?
Listen, take him seriously and take him literally.
I don't think that we have to. I think it would be remiss of us to not say Joe Biden knows how to do this.
Yes,
he knows how to do this. He's quite good at this. And you know, you can't refute anything with him because he just, when I say him, I mean
he rambles.
Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just.
But can I mention one thing? Because Trump is out there calling.
Did you say his name?
I said his name.
Oh,
yeah, it was a trick and it made me do it. But I'm just saying that that Biden knows what not to do. You can't refute that man because he just spins and spins and spins.
Yeah.
All you can really do is talk about what you do.
Right.
And how you do what you do.
But he should do it like this. He should, like, you know, while Trump was gargling less Lysol, whatever he was drinking, I was fixing infrastructure. While Trump was doing A, B, and C, I was doing this.
He was convicted of 34 counts.
Yes, 34 counts. I was repaying student loans. I mean, that way he gets to diss Trump and say what he did.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so taking political advice from The View. Well, no wonder Biden lost, right? And Kamala. Hey, Wade, thank you so much. So appreciate the generosity. And I'm glad you like the Spider-Woman outfit. And I think we got another super sticker. Peace of my mind. Good to see you in here again today, along, of course, with our good friend Don. Seeing so many regulars here and so appreciate it. David Lorenzo, again, all of you guys here live. And it's it's really something. Peace of my mind picking up on allegedly woke up this morning. I'm not sure if he woke up. I'm not sure if he ever wakes up. And again, it's endemic, if you would, of this network overall. I mean, they clearly have a problem.
It's something that I'm still struggling with, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on is how did a convicted felon resonate more with Americans than a hyper-qualified woman of color? Do you think that racism and misogyny played any part in this election?
Well, you know, listen, I think that Vice President Harris was eminently qualified. Mm-hmm. And I supported her with everything that I had, and I think so many Americans did. It was a close election at the end of the day, didn't break in her direction. I think we all are going to unpack as part of our after-action analysis. How did this happen?
Yeah.
Where did we fall short? I do think that the emerging lesson, separate and apart from reasons may be connected to race and misogyny, is that the economy was the dominant theme for a lot of folks.
Yeah, duh.
Particularly when you consider.
I'm really glad that Hakeem Jeffries at least admitted that. But the ladies on The View, they can't go there, right? They're stuck in that, oh, you know, it was racism, it was misogyny, it was this, that, and the other. And I think because they keep going back to that, the FCC is looking at it saying, you know, do we really need to have this on the public airwaves? I mean, maybe you guys can go do a podcast or something, but do we really need this on the public airwaves? I mean, MSNBC was not even public airwaves. You know, look, there's a difference between being network television, right, where you are governed under some kind of infrastructure, if you would, or semblance of infrastructure by the FCC, versus if you're cable, where you have a little bit more leadway. But you know what? NBC didn't want anything to do with MSNBC anymore because they knew that their NBC license was in jeopardy because of that cable network, MSNBC, because you had some, dare I say, Looney Tunes. I mean, my gosh, this woman who lost her job because of it, right? Which is exactly where Terry's probably going to find himself very, very soon. Joy Reid taking or trying to take the entire network down and NBC with her until they said, sayonara, see ya. It's a big part of the spinoff, by the way, but also they got rid of this one.
So if you think that you can vote for what people see as their destruction and then demand that they still are cool with you and kiki with you and have Thanksgiving with you, like, I think you're kind of missing the point.
No, I think you were missing the point. I think that you actually, Joy, created a very big problem for NBC as a network, telling people not to get together with their family over Christmas because of politics or over Thanksgiving. I mean, for goodness sakes. You can understand why the FCC would say, maybe we need to take a harder look. And in fact, they are investigating NBC right now for some of their DEI practices, et cetera. So part of the intention of, spinning off MSNBC is to try and get it away from NBC and protect the parent company owned by Comcast. I will say this, some people got the message. Some people, like Mika and Joe, we're talking ultimate survivors in these two. I mean, they get it, right? They saw the handwriting on the wall. They came into work the next day. I think Joe actually wore a suit for once, saying, well, this was a landslide. You better believe it was.
Well, I mean, so much to go through, so many questions. I came onto the set and Willie said, hey, by the way, because we were talking about the historic nature of this sweep.
Yeah.
And Willie said, do you know, he only lost Illinois by 4 points.
4 points in
New Jersey by 5. I mean, you talk about we had talked about a red wave 2 years ago that never materialized. This is I've got to say, this is the biggest red wave I've seen since Ronald Reagan's 49 state victory in 1984. It seems every Republican across the country improved.
Yeah. Imagine that. It really is the economy stupid. Oh, and a few other little things, shall we say, including the First Amendment, including the DEI stuff. I'll tell you who did not like that. Isn't she a former View person, a former ABC person until they couldn't take it anymore? Rosie O'Donnell did not like that, not one bit. Oh, she's sworn off Mika and Joe because they see the handwriting on the wall. And as I said, they're survivors. They are survivors. I mean, I would say never take anything they say with a grain of salt, because just 24 hours before they were warning us about how you can't elect Donald Trump, right? Here's Rosie.
Period. End of statement. Unreal. Unreal. For months, you were telling us he's the worst thing that could happen to this country and democracy. And then you go kiss his ring. Despicable. Despicable you. Both of you.
Isn't that a movie? Is that a Disney movie? Despicable Me? Anyway, Rosie really didn't like it, but it is what it is, right? They are who they are. Rosie, maybe they don't have your kind of cash to go buy the pad in Ireland and, defect from the country. Listen, they are who they are, but it's partly why I think ratings are failing so miserably at a place like MSNBC, because it's like you don't know what you're getting. The people that are completely crazed, right? They have been written off. They have been fired. They are gone. Meanwhile, the people that are still there are survivors for a reason, because they're talking their book, which is, I guess, whatever the corporate book is at the time. And poor Terry Moran, Terry, who nobody had ever heard of, he doesn't get it. Like he's talking gobbledygook. I mean, I'm not even reading what he's saying. It's so bad about Stephen Miller, and Stephen Miller doesn't deserve that. I'm telling you, Stephen Miller, I've known him for years, is a nice guy, lovely wife, Katie, like just a sunny, terrific person. And he doesn't deserve that. I mean, who the heck deserves that from the likes of this ABC journalist? So now insiders are predicting that ABC News is going to have to be sold. You see, because ABC News is of no value, really, to Disney. It is just a headache. You got the Terry Morans of the world, along with, the George Stephanopoulos. You've costing you $16 million. You've got Jonathan Karl, who was in trouble recently. You got David Muir, who showed his hand, Martha Raddatz, etc. And so consequently, you're looking at it, if you're Disney, and dare I forget, The View, obviously, right? Alphonse, good to see you. It's been a while. Lots of generosity, much appreciated. I remember exactly when Terry Moran said that. Yes, in 2017, he said he compared it to a pretty darn hateful thing. Alphonse, it's not acceptable. It is not cool. You can't do it. Ed Miller, thank you for your generosity. I calling out the you-know-what on the left. Thank you very much. Listen, this is catching up with them, guys, because Disney's looking at ABC and they're like, who needs this? We don't need the show The View. We don't need the Terry Morans of the world. We don't need David Muir. We don't need George Stephanopoulos, and we don't need Martha, and we don't need Jonathan Karl and the rest of them causing all these headaches for us, because you know what? They're in a bit of trouble. I'm going to get to what Brendan Carr just said, but first, listen to this. This is another sort of doozy from that show that's on that I can't believe anybody watches. I don't think it's going to be long-lived on network news.
What's interesting for me is that people's faith in the country is waning.
Yes.
That's the thing that's pissing me off, because in fact, there's a reason Joe Biden ran the way he did. There's a reason he's running for democracy now, because that's really what's at stake. You worried that you can't pay your bill? Wait till the other guy becomes president, and you won't have to worry about it, because you'll be in some camp somewhere, because that's his promise. His promise to...
Okay, guys, did you hear that? This is ahead of the election, right? So again, Disney's got a problem here. She's trying to suggest that if he wins, you're going to be put off in camp somewhere. I mean, this is network news, okay? It's produced by ABC News. And you know what? The FCC does have governorship over this.
Is he's going to force people to do his bidding. That's what he said. I'm going to be good on day one, and I'm going to turn into this other person. So here's the deal. This is all up to you. This is all up to you. We can sit up here till we're green in the face. But this really comes down to the people. What is the country you want? Do you want the country that you kind of thought you had, where we all get to say what we think and we don't have to be afraid of being American? And believing that, yeah, there will be people who come in, and some will get in quick and some will take a different route, but they're coming here for a reason, because they're living in a place that's not good for their families. If you're okay with that, you understand that, then fight for us to find a better way to make immigration work. Fight for that. Don't fight for keeping everybody out, because then we all have to leave.
Yeah, that was before the election, okay? Just think of that. Now, she hasn't changed her mind much. She's kept herself kind of quiet. John Luna, thank you so much. Wow, that's a big thank you. Super chat. I so appreciate it. I tried to put it on, but it keeps coming up lopsided, so it's kind of hard to read. Anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It says, great stream today, Ms. Trish. I love your perspective. You don't need to call me Ms., by the way. I love your perspective and no holds barred, brutal honesty. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything that you guys do to make this channel happen. Going over to the FCC warning, okay? So I can't believe I didn't play this for you. This just happened a couple of days ago, and it's a big deal because Brendan Carr, who runs the FCC, who governs all of these networks, okay? He went on to Fox and he leveled a big warning at NBC. Don't forget, he's already sent Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, which owns ABC, a nasty letter, like right after the election saying, hey, watch it. And then he sent another one in March. They're investigating them. And then like days ahead of Terry Moran, Terry, your timing is impeccable. Your bosses are like, what the HELL? Oh my gosh. Brandon had just said this a short time before. Listen in, head of the FCC.
Your probe into Disney's DEI policies. Their senior counsel writes, this is all about bullying and intimidation. Mr. Carr's most powerful tool is his vote on the commission to approve mergers and acquisitions. Is this about Disney's hiring practices, or is it about something else?
Yeah, this is about the hiring practices and their employment practices. Look, broadcasters, and Disney owns one, ABC, they have an obligation under federal law. We have EEO rules at the FCC, which means you can't make hiring decisions based on protected characteristics, including gender and race. And the evidence we have so far indicates potentially that Disney and ABC were making employment decisions based on race and gender, including having effectively race-defined affinity groups within the company. We have evidence that they put quotas in place based on specific demographics. If the evidence does, in fact, play out and shows that they were engaged in race and gender-based discrimination, that's a very serious issue at the FCC that could fundamentally go to their character qualifications to even hold a license. But we're going to follow the facts wherever they go. Look, President Trump's been clear. We are turning the page on DEI. The first week I was chairman of the FCC, I said we are ending our own promotion of DEI at the FCC. People will be shocked if they learned the millions of dollars that the FCC alone was spending to promote DEI. We had it listed as our second highest strategic priority. I mean, think about everything the FCC can and should be doing: national security issues, bridging the digital divide, space economy, and we had promoting DEI as our number 2 strategic priority. Now we're going to focus on our core mission.
Wow. Okay, did you hear that, Disney? Did you hear that, Terry? No, clearly he didn't hear that. Or maybe he did. Maybe he wanted to provoke. Maybe he wanted to make sure that more people knew his name. I don't know. But it was really, really bad timing, okay? Like moronic timing, given that Brandon Carr had just gone on and said this. So he's like fanning the flames, right? And then you had this, we've talked about this, that this investigation was going on. A report from Post Millennial saying FCC investigates Disney over DEI discrimination. While I have seen reports that Disney recently walked back some of its DEI programs, significant concerns remain. Okay, this is one of the letters, the one most recently, end of March. Okay, so this stuff is fresh, alive, and well. Carr's letter said to Iger, I'm writing to inform you that I have asked the FCC's Enforcement Bureau to open investigation into Disney and ABC. In particular, I want to ensure that Disney and ABC have not been violating FCC equal employment opportunity regulations by promoting invidious forms of DEI discrimination. While I have seen reports that Disney recently walked back some of its DEI programs, DEI remains a significant concern. Okay, significant concern. In other words, they don't even care if they're fixing it lately. It's Johnny come lately. He wants to ensure, here we go, this is the FCC in their letter saying, I want to ensure that Disney ends any and all discriminatory initiatives and substance not just named for another. I want to determine whether Disney's actions, whether ongoing or recently ended. So that's the part that you need to focus on. Because maybe they're scrambling after the fact and they're trying to end all this stuff. But he's like, I don't care. Like, if you were doing it, you are still in jeopardy because constitutionally speaking, right? And they just had a big ruling on this, like this kind of quote unquote reverse discrimination you can't do. There was a woman who sued because apparently she was heterosexual and that was a problem, I guess, in terms of her promotion. So she said, I'm being discriminated against because I'm heterosexual. So in other words, and the ruling, I should say, the court's ruling on that was that, she can't be discriminated against for that because, again, it's discriminating on the basis of sexuality and it's not allowed. So Brandon means business. And he's looking into all this stuff: racially segregated affinity programs, Reimagine Tomorrow initiative for DEI, inclusion standards across ABC, the network, requiring 50% of regular and recurring characters be drawn from underrepresented groups, may have forced racial and identity quotas into every level of production, demanding 50% more of writers, directors, crew, vendors be selected based on group affinity. And so they have a problem. Do not forget, by the way, this is amid the backdrop of the Elon Musk Gina Carano lawsuit, where she was suing because she said she got fired because of her political beliefs. Do you remember that? And they just had this big sort of move forward where they can get a lot of discovery. So this is important for Gina, and frankly, it's important for the FCC.
When I wouldn't hashtag trans rights and I wouldn't put my pronouns in, like, they kept on it pressuring, and finally I just said, I'm not doing this, I'm not. Like, what are the pronouns? I didn't even know what people were talking about. I was just not clued in to the pronouns thing, which apparently that's been happening for like 7-8 years now, right? It's been happening.
But no one has ever explained its purpose. What I didn't
know.
You're just supposed to know.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, you're a bigot.
Yeah. Well, then I put beep bop boop in my
beep bop boop.
Yeah.
So that, if I'm translating, that just means middle finger to you, right?
That just meant I can put anything I want in my bio. I can do whatever I want. That's all that was.
Because you thought it was a free country.
Yeah, because I thought it was yes.
Yeah, right.
But I was
just trying to follow your train of reasoning here.
Yeah, you can put anything in your bio that you want, and the whole, meltdown that caused was just, and then, in
a bad way, or are people impressed? I'm impressed.
No, it's cool now, but this was, mind you, this was like a year and a half ago. So this was I was speaking out about lockdowns, mass vaccinations, and pronouns way before anybody was even saying a word about it. And so I was a little bit ahead. I'm sure if I would have done that now, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But because I was talking about this when nobody else was talking about it, especially nobody else in my industry, it was Lucasfilm called me and they were like, okay, we're going to need you to go on a Zoom call with 45 of our, LGBTQ, community. And we have to get you on the phone with these people. We need to have you watch all of these trans these movies about the trans lives, documentaries, and I was like, okay, I'll watch your documentaries and I'll talk to your people, but I'm not going to get on a Zoom call with 45 different people who can have their phones out videotaping me, and I feel like that's extremely abusive.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? 45 people they wanted her on a call with to go through why she's such a bad person because she put beep, bop, boop. By the way, remember Rachel Zegler, little Rachel Zegler from New Jersey, former Maria in West Side Story, turned Snow White, who tanked Snow White. I mean, it went from the biggest grossing box office film ever in the history of Disney to like the worst. She's the one who pushed heavily on Twitter to get her fired. I mean, this is all going down. I know how Gina feels. Look, I was way out in front in March 2020, and sometimes it's like not good to be first, right? You should always say. But it all worked out for the best. I'm here. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. I remember a couple of years ago, and I took pictures on my cell phone of this, all right? So I went to look on my computer for a costume for my son who wanted to go as Dash from The Incredibles, which is a Disney Pixar film. And he loves to run and he loves to run fast. So he thought he could be Dash for Halloween. So I go on Mom here and I start looking for the Dash costume. Okay, I should have given him a Spider-Man costume, right? Here I go, Dash costume. Can you guys see this? I took this with my cell phone, and this is amazing. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you, or Apple iTunes. But we're looking at pictures. This is boys' costumes, okay? I do a search for boys' costumes. Do you see what's up there in front? It says boys' costumes. And I could not believe this. Boys' costumes, and what do you see? Princess dresses. Every single one of them. It was the first thing that came up, and this is on my computer. I'm like, what? Seriously. So I circled them. There you see, boys' costumes. And the first thing, 30% off the Jasmine costume for kids, Aladdin. We got to send this to Brendan Carr over at the FCC. Then you had the Belle costume for kids, Beauty and the Beast, the princess costume. Okay, I'm just looking for Dash, and I can't find Dash. I mean, if you go down the list, the first 5 costumes are girls' costumes, and then you finally get to a robot or something. Come on, people. Disney's in trouble. Like, serious trouble. They're laying off. We know that. I think there are more heads that are going to roll at NBC. They got all kinds of financial headaches thanks to Snow White, Rachel Zegler, lovely little Rachel Ingenue from New Jersey that she is. They got problems, okay? And now they've got the FCC, as you can see, breathing down their back. So they're paying all kinds of money in legal bills, and they're sitting there saying, we got to get rid of ABC News. We've got to get rid of this problem. Now, maybe they keep ESPN. I know they're going to keep ESPN, actually. I can tell you that because they've actually invested a lot of money in trying to make ESPN happen. They're charging like $20 or something, I think, for the stream now so that you can get just ESPN via streams. We'll see. Dawn may disagree with me, but I actually think that people will pay up for sports, and so that might be an opportunity for them. But are you really going to pay up for this Disney content when they're trying to force feed you a bunch of boys' costumes for your kid for Disney? I don't think so. Are you going to pay up? I mean, look at the box office, right? For Snow White, that tells you exactly how that all went down. And so now on the heels of that, they're having to lay off all these employees, and they're laying them off in the entertainment division as they increasingly say to themselves, what are we doing with the liability of ABC News? It doesn't even make any money, and it's not a business that's growing. So Disney's laying off hundreds of employees from teams across its television and film divisions. It's one of the things that they probably are thinking, hey, Terry Moran, let's suspend him and then let's fire him because we'll save some money. Probably not a lot, but some. Plus, they're sending a message, I guess, to everybody else on the ABC News staff. Like, guys, don't be crazy. Don't do crazy stuff. It's important for us to notice that, though, as conservatives, because now we know they really are crazy. While no entire teams are being eliminated, according to Disney spokespeople, several hundred job losses will occur across the Disney entertainment departments that handle all of the marketing for movies and TV, publicity, casting and development, right? Because, all that DEI casting and development, not to mention The View. They already had layoffs at The View. Whoopi's lost practically her whole team. And now Bob Iger is issuing this warning to the hosts on The View. Hey, knock it off. All of you, knock it off. George Stephanopoulos, we just had to pay $16 million because of you. Look at the mess CBS News finds itself in. Can none of you take a hint, right? We get the FCC breathing down our back. They're conducting this investigation. People don't seem to like our products anymore. They didn't want to go and see Snow White. And now Iger's warning all these ladies on The View to knock it off. In fact, let's go back to the headline. It says here in the New York Post, Disney CEO Bob Iger, The View ABC News boss, told The View host to tone down the anti-Trump criticism. And apparently, they may be telling him to pound sand. At least Ana Navarro has no interest in any of this. They had the guy who runs all of ABC News and must have made the decision here on Terry Moran to exit him, trying to convince these hosts that they've got to do something different. And there's a lot of tension now behind the scenes, according to the Daily Beast, for whatever that's worth, because this is what they do, right? Political issues. So they're sitting there saying, well, how can we cover anything else? We don't really know how to cover entertainment anymore. We have to talk politics. And so now the executive producer apparently said to staffers, we got to go easy on this. We got to go easy on this. We got to back off. And Whoopi's not happy. Whoopi apparently snapped, according to OK Magazine, at her producer live on the air. And I think it's created this environment where they don't even know what to talk about. Whoopi has backed off for sure. Like if you notice, she's kind of being a lot more cautious in terms of what she's saying, and she's leaving it up to the other ladies to say things. But again, we're going back to the New York Post story. The head of ABC News, his name is with the host, I guess, I don't want to mutilate this name, Kara Megdovich. So they're trying to shift the show's tone. So he's working with the View producer, whose last name is Tedda, I guess Brian Tedda, to try and shift this and to lifestyle segments, et cetera. And the hosts don't want anything to do with it. Again, remember, these are the hosts that were threatening that Trump was going to lock everyone up.
What's interesting for me is that
okay, spit it out.
People's faith in the country is waning. That's the thing that's pissing me off, because in fact, there's a reason Joe Biden ran the way he did. There's a reason he's running for democracy now, because that's really what's at stake. You worried that you can't pay your bill? Wait till the other guy becomes president, and you won't have to worry about it because you'll be in some camp somewhere. Because that's his promise. I mean, his promise to us is he's going to force people to do his
crazy stuff, right? So that was before the election. They've continued the craziness since the election, at least most of them, except for Whoopi, who seems to actually be listening to her bosses in this case. And they're like, tone it down, tone it down, tone it down. Like, we got enough headache. And so Terry Moran now getting that suspension after that crazy social media post in the wee hours of the morning. It was like midnight, right on Saturday night. I'm like, Terry, what were you doing? Getting a little wild, right, on Saturday night. Letting it all hang out, telling us exactly how you feel. Pretty bad. So now we know exactly where they're coming from. And believe me, there's more where that's from, right? So if he feels that way and he's a correspondent, what about all the producers around him? What about everybody on the team? David Smith, thank you so much again for the generosity, laughing about Disney and the princesses and the costumes I just showed you. Maybe they can make some of the MASH guys, right, into Disney princesses. Oh yeah, I'm sure they'd love that. Who knows? But they were trying, for whatever reason, to force upon the world a certain viewpoint. And you know what? The world said, seen that, done that. No, we don't want it. And so I think the world pushed back. And so you see sort of this economic engine. This is why we love capitalism, right? Because it gives more say to the individual. The individual, right, that's affected by all this stuff. Speaking of loving capitalism, we've been watching gold prices very carefully here on the Trish Regan Show. As you know, Trish Regan loves gold. Trish loves gold. Go to trishlovesgold.com for up to $15,000 off with free silver. Actually, not off. What am I saying? Up to $15,000 of free silver. I'm wearing the right dress for it today, am I not? This is with American Heart for Gold, one of our show sponsors. Gold has been on a tear, of course. I'm just trying to see if I can get a live price for you right now. Gold has been on a tear, and there's a lot of reasons for that. We've talked about it at length, in part because I think the world is trying to diversify away from U.S. dollars. We've got gold up again today, so sitting near all-time records at 33.54, up 0.25%. You know what? This is really, really just incredible. I've been telling you to buy it since it was like $1,500 on this show. So that's a good thing. Go check them out. TrishLovesGold.com. Get more information today. Text Trish to 65532. Call them at 1-844-495-1115. Tell them you saw the advertisement here on the Trish Regan Show. It helps us. And again, I'm just a big believer in diversifying into things like gold. By the way, I should point out silver up nearly 2% right now at $36 an ounce. Also, if you're interested in investing in general, and I hope you are, you know, you get some investors hoping for a rate cut. I actually don't think that they're going to get it, guys. I really don't. So I'm going to take that lower off of the screen right now. 76research.com, code word dollar. Investors cheering again today, this market. You know what? There's a lot of good stuff. We got the jobs report last week. Looks like, you know, we're moving forward with some negotiations there in China and, of course, the EU. We talk about some of the sectors to be in, some of the stocks to watch there at 76research.com. You can get my research. It's my research, and Rob as well, my dear friend Rob Horton, who has spent decades on Wall Street and managed billions of dollars. And I convinced him we needed to do this. We really, because I want to make sure that you have access to real information, not just what you're getting here on the news front, but also on the financial front. So 76research.com, really important to look at that. This is just amazing though. Disney having to pay the price here, suspending one of its own after just a real mess.